Hey everybody, this is Chris here with Daily Motor, and today we are driving a 2022 Porsche Macan S. This is going to be my first impressions of this car. No Charlie alongside with me today. He was much too busy to come right along in this beautiful Porsche Macan with me today. You'll see him in the end, but in the beginning of the video it's going to just be me. But I'm really excited because I've never driven a Porsche Macan. Being a Porsche owner, I feel like this is such a staple car in their lineup now. It was almost wrong of me to have never driven a Macan, but at least today, well, I'll be able to lose my Macan virginity, I suppose. This is an S, so it has the high 300s horsepower, twin turbocharged V6, 7-speed PDK, and power sent to all four wheels. For tires, we're running some Michelin Latitude Sport. These must be like some sporty SUV tires. We've got red brake calipers, but overall this is a pretty basic spec. It's only about 73 grand, and there aren't very many options on this car. It's only got like the smoking package, which gives you the little cup holder ashtray, and premium pack. It doesn't even have premium plus, so we don't even have colored wheel crests. We don't even have full leather seats. We've got some cloth inserts here, which do feel quite nice and high quality, but not full premium plus. We've got Bose audio. You can see our little Macan S door plaques, but I really don't know much about this. I've only driven it about half a mile to this parking lot here, so not very many impressions yet, but that's why we're doing the reviews in this style now, so you can get our raw first impressions of these cars. And well, I guess here goes the Macan. Let's check out the back seat. Just see how that is. Sit behind myself here and see how much room I have. Okay. Pretty decent. I've got a little bit of room here for my knees, and I've got a ton of headroom actually. No sunroof on this car. If you guys didn't believe me earlier that this is pretty basic, it does not even have the panoramic moonroof. We do, however, have heated rear seats. That is, I believe, part of the premium pack with the heated front seats. Quite a peculiar interior color in this thing. It's just gray, but Porsche gray, in the Macan at least, has kind of like a nuttiness to it. It's a little bit brown, so it's nice to see some sort of a variety from just like that primer gray that a lot of companies use. There's a little more depth to this color. That's pretty nice to see. This is a facelifted Macan. They changed it a little bit last year for the 2021 model year, or maybe it was 2020 actually, but slightly different revised exterior and interior styling, but it's basically the same car. The most important thing you should know though about the S for this year is that it gains the Macan GTS's engine from last year. So a little bit more horsepower. I want to say it's 375 horsepower, but if I'm wrong, I'll put the right number here, or if I'm right, I'll just put correct. But I want to say it's about 375 horsepower. So let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive. I have driven a Cayenne. Honestly, this may be the only Porsche that I have not driven, because now I've driven a Taycan as well. So let's go ahead and start it up. I love that Porsche still gives you the satisfaction of starting the car here on the left with a switch. Couple little pops and burbles there on startup, and we do have wireless Apple CarPlay. I do have my phone synced, so I'm hoping it's not going to start blasting music. It does not. Okay, cool. Everything in the middle here is haptic touch, so we do have those heated seats as I talked about. Everything seems to work just fine. We've got our adjustable suspension here. That's about it. It's a pretty simple layout. We do still have a volume knob, so that's nice. And just a regular shifter. Let me show you this. So I got into this thing earlier to drive it over to this parking lot, and I wasn't even reading this. I was like trying to push up to put it into reverse, but it's just a normal shifter. Check that out. And then you do have manual mode, but you don't have like a way to put it in a manual mode. You just grab one of the paddles, and then I assume you probably hold this paddle and it takes you out. No, maybe not. Okay, well, I guess we're just driving it in manual mode. Decently heavy steering under first impressions, but Porsche steering wheels are always nice and thin, and they just feel very nice in the hands. It's gone back into automatic mode. Drive mode selector is right here on the steering wheel. It's actually in a really nice spot. I don't like having to go into infotainments or anything to switch drive modes. You can just do that right here. You can see we've got, I was just in normal. That switched me to sport. Sport Plus drops another gear, your individual mode, and then back to normal there at the top. It's a pretty quiet car. Overall ride comfort seems to be pretty nice. I've got to say, I do like the driver's seat, and while the steering is heavy, it has a quality feel to it, especially with just the material of the steering wheel. It all just feels quite nice. However, speaking of the steering wheel, it is not power adjustable, and if Charlie were here, we'd probably make some excuse for Porsche saying, oh, well, they get a pass because they're driver's cars and they're not luxury cars, but he always says that anything over 50,000 should have a power adjust steering column, and well, this is a $73,000 German SUV, and it does not have a power adjust steering column. So I don't know. What do you think, guys? Does Porsche get a pass? Maybe they do. If you're curious to know more about this Macan's different features in depth, we will have a video on the infotainment, and we'll also have an abbreviated fuel economy test to see how well this thing does on the highway. Nice feel from the paddles. Porsche paddles always have a nice heavy feel to them. And they don't click like, they click like boom, boom, if that makes sense. Trying to use my words here as a journalist, as you know. You're welcome, sir. There's lots of chaos going on here today. Maybe we'll just leave it in its automatic setting and see what it decides to do here. Very snappy throttle response. This thing is quick. My goodness. Ooh, and she gets down. Holy crap. Okay. Don't know that I've ever driven an SUV that that can do that. Wow. Okay. Super aggressive mapping on this transmission. That was just in automatic mode until I manually shifted it once we merged on. Holy crap. Yep, and it is of course 7-speed PDK. That's the difference between this and the Cayenne. The Cayenne does not get a PDK, but if you opt for the Macan, you're able to get the Porsche Doppelgangstrieb. It really does make all the difference. Ooh, that is an E38. Man, what a treat for me today. I'm in a Macan, and I'm behind an E38 740iL. Oh, yes. The BMW badge is peeling slightly on that one, but that's just sort of normal behavior for those. All right, let's step up our drive mode here to Sport Plus. Changed our idle speed slightly up to like 900 RPM. The car is eager. It's very eager to go here. Throttle response was very snappy just in regular sport mode, so it feels just about the same here in Sport Plus. Goodbye, E38. Wow, very smooth downshift. It's not even squealing the tires at 56 miles an hour. Oh, there they go. Yeah, come on, baby. God, this thing just... All right, I get it. I get the appeal. I'm still, you know, I was a little bit weary with, is this still gonna feel like a Porsche? Because I don't really think that the Cayenne does. But boy, this Macan does. Holy crap. Okay, I keep reaching down here for the drive modes. Like, I was just complimenting how much I like that the drive modes are here on the steering wheel. I think you can actually push this sport response. So for 20 seconds, I have much sportiness. The point of that is if you're in the right lane, you're behind somebody really slow, you've got sport response. Instead of having to flick through the drive modes, you click that, put you in the sportiest setting, and you're able to make that hazardous pass or whatever it may be, and then it automatically puts you right back into your normal drive mode. Pretty cool feature. I'm quite pleased with this under first impressions. Of course, I haven't lived with it yet, but from a driving perspective, from taking some entrance ramps, which is what a Porsche should be all about. You know, I know a lot of soccer moms probably buy these and just tout them around shopping malls and Starbucks drive-thrus and things, but if you're actually looking for a good driver's SUV, the Macan would be a good place to start. And probably a good place to finish, because I don't know of any other SUV that feels like this.
It's always a good week when we have a Porsche in the fleet.
That's right. It's been about 4 days with this 2022 Macan S, and I think we love it even more than we did on day one.
Yeah.
It's just such a fabulous combination of driving dynamics, amazing styling, and just like good Porsche-ness overall.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it, because there are things about this car that only get a pass because of that crest on
That's
the hood.
right. That's right.
Things like $70,000 price tag with manual adjusted steering column.
I'm glad you got that out of the way after like 10 seconds.
Yeah, well, I know that was important. You pointed it out to me immediately.
I did.
It's one of the first things you mentioned. But we'll try to point out bad things about this car, but it really
hard.
It is difficult. And I will say, for someone who couldn't care less about driving, this probably isn't your best choice in this segment. Buy yourself an X3 or something like that.
Right.
We remember when we reviewed the Audi Q3 and we talked about how great it was to just forget about the fact you're driving a car.
Yes.
It's just, it lets you focus on the other things in life.
Yeah.
This is the opposite.
That's right. Yeah, this is certainly a driver's car, and I know that sounds hilarious to say about something in this class of vehicle, but that's what this is. This is the driver's car for someone that has to be down to one car. They want to have fun, go spiritedly drive on the weekends, but they can still, you know, carry their family around during the week and just do normal car stuff. But it really... Go ahead.
I shouldn't have cut you off. I'm really glad you pointed that one car aspect out, because while I was shooting the winding road drive for this, I was zoning off, as one typically does.
Sure.
And I thought, this car makes me want to do a comparison next year, or like a video series similar to our DM Rally, of what's the best single car household under $100,000.
That would be with this probably,
well,
or the GTS variant of this.
You're right, because you can still have that under 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, but would this be better than a GTS? Yeah, you could get this very well spec'd, still have it under 100, but you've also got competition, things like you could get a Mercedes E450 wagon.
Sure.
You could get Volvo V60 Polestar wagon.
Or an S90.
Or an XC60.
Or an XC90.
Yeah.
Or any Volvo.
So that will be a fun video to shoot,
right.
but I think this will really be high up there. Another thing, just looking at it, you know, we say all these things about driver's cars. It's amazing that Porsche still manages to have a ton of sidewall, even though it's a driver's car.
Right, well these are the base wheels, you can tell, because the center caps do not have colored crests. And you know what, I appreciate this. It seems like every press car we ever get is loaded with unnecessary options.
Yeah.
This has like no options. It has Sport Chrono, so it has launch control,
yes,
which is cool.
Which is amazing.
Which is freaking insane
for
for
what this is.
A mid-grade trim SUV. It's bonkers fast. It's insane. But I like that they really haven't put any. It doesn't even have a sunroof.
No.
Look at this, the slick top.
Which is, again, driver spec, because you don't want that extra weight up top, adding hundreds of pounds up to your center of gravity, moving it up.
Right.
But yeah, I think we get so many press cars, like you said, 22-inch wheels or something like that. This, what are these, 18s? No, they're actually probably 20s.
20s, yeah.
But still, they put
plenty
so
of
much
sidewall
that the ride is really nice. Another thing, I'm sure you noticed this and appreciated this as well.
Oh, right.
Yeah, the headlights that still kind of cut out.
Yep.
That's cool.
Big hood. It goes all the way.
And
yeah,
if every V6 were this V6 on the market, the
I
world
would
would be a better place.
I would love V6s.
Yeah.
I said that. I shot a video on this for my personal channel, Topher Drives.
Go subscribe.
Go subscribe. And I pretty much said that. I was like, I usually don't like V6s, but I really like this engine. I was like, there's something about the way that they've tuned it, the way that they've made it sound, the way they make it react, and also like, just, I don't know if they play some sort of noise through the speakers. I mean, maybe they do, but it almost has a flat 6 tone to it.
375 horsepower helps as well.
God, yeah, it's really is probably my favorite V6.
Look at how you can look right in here into that giant radiator.
Yep.
very functional gaps in the hood. I mean, I love this color. I love the design of the car. They managed to make kind of a swoopy SUV without really taking away from the practicality. I will point out in the rear, compared to a lot of its competition, it's a pretty high load height for the size vehicle, and having this big hump is not always convenient for people. So that can be a downside to SUVing.
Right.
But you do have a spare. I appreciate that Porsche.
You do have a spare.
It's a very compact spare, inflatable spare.
And a Bose.
Yep, and a pretty decent sound system.
Yeah, I was thinking like a B probably.
It just barely snuck an A- for me.
Really? Interesting. Okay.
Could have been a little Porsche influence.
Okay.
But also I think because it was just so crisp.
Okay.
It wasn't as powerful as a lot of the other A-tier systems. So I said it's just barely hanging on.
It was crispy, but I agree. Yeah, there was not a lot of power.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
we should drive this thing.
Yeah, we should.
No one needs to know about the back seat. Your kids are unimportant.
Yep.
I will point out this material in the center of the seat, I don't think would pass the oh, I should pull my
Good thing that's copyright free.
Yes. That's
not.
I will point out I don't think these seats would pass the Alyssa bare leg test.
Oh, do they get hot?
No, feel how like rub your hand on this material.
Yes, I love it.
But it's sharp. It's put the back of your hand on it and slide it. It hurts.
Yeah, I guess
it's kind of
so.
cheese gratery.
I like it though. You know, and you could just opt for Premium Plus pack, get full leather cooled seats and a pano roof,
which
and it
you
would solve all
probably
of
have
that.
to do.
Which, if you actually bought one of these, you probably have to, because I don't think they actually sell any that are spec'd like this.
Unless you planned on owning it for the entirety of your life, if you ever wanted to be able to resell it, you would need to have those
Premium Plus.
Yeah, Premium Plus.
This does have premium, so you do get heated seats.
Okay. Wow, they sell them without heated seats.
Yes, they do.
I wonder what the lightest Macan you can get is.
Probably a base model with no options.
Right, but like how much that weighs. You know?
Oh, right.
The bandwidth of this SUV is incredible. The fact that with this transmission, when you're driving like this, perfect throttle tuning for just nice, easy off the line. You don't feel those shifts whatsoever. But then, with one simple push of a button, you're in crazy manic mode.
Sport reaction.
Yep. And you get to feel those shifts.
Oh my god, it bangs those gears too.
It really does.
I did a launch control yesterday, and the change into second gear nearly ripped the camera off. Seriously, I hope that translates into the video how hard that change was, because the camera probably moved an inch up on my forehead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's another person who decided not to make their turn.
You just gotta be on edge, you know? You gotta assume that everyone's an idiot.
Well, fortunately, we're driving a Macan, which means everyone around us is inferior.
That's right. Yeah. Even beyond the way that Sport Chrono gives you launch control, I like the dimension that it adds to the interior.
I gotta agree with
beautiful.
you. I think Sport Chrono is always so silly, but at the same time, I like it.
It's so cool.
Also, there's something satisfying to the soul when you see that seconds hand get up to 59, click over to 60, and the clock changes right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's simple, but it's just like, yes. It helps.
But it's like, yes.
Yeah, it's just that like feeling of precision, and that's what this car does so well, is precision.
Yep.
And it's a good feeling steering wheel. It's tight. It feels good in the hands.
Yeah. So I had 2 passengers in this car.
Okay.
And
don't brag.
Both of them, without even being prompted, commented on how solid it felt. Just in general, just how everything in here is like, this just feels like a solid car. Like,
not a singular rattle.
No rattles. I mean, everything you press on, like,
feels nice.
Nothing makes any noise. Oh, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm pushing hard on this.
Passes the Nathan Dash test.
If this were a BMW, it would be like.
Yep. And you said to me earlier this week, you said you were taking roundabouts and corners allegedly more aggressively than
allegedly, sure,
sports cars, and I'm totally with you.
You're about to make it non-alleged here, so
letting the transmission entirely do its own thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a water bottle.
Yep. That was just your corner marker.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to clip that.
The fact that you can have such an enjoyable daily and then pull out onto some country road or mountain road or something and do this, I mean, it's simple, but it's just that like feeling of precision. And that's what this car does so well, is precision.
Yep.
Yep. And you get to feel those shifts. It really does. I mean, Just fantastic. It really is.
There's a semi-truck convention going on.
There certainly is. And of course, when there is a semi-truck convention, you simply switch back to normal mode. Vehicle calms right down. I really wanted to take this section to do the rough ride route.
Oh, yeah.
And see how well it takes
It's a slightly firm ride.
Sure, which is
But
what you'd
it's-
expect from the S model.
Yeah, but it's not like crashy, which is I think the word that you like to use.
And no rattles.
Yeah, and the interior doesn't rattle.
This can be overwhelming to someone first going at it, and I did notice I was adjusting the volume at one point, and my finger was resting against this and turned on my defrost just like that.
Oh yeah.
So the touch buttons can be a little strange.
I was turning on the rough ride suspension on accident with my elbow.
Oh, that's not good.
Or sorry, with my hand.
Right, when you're resting there.
Yeah.
Also, kind of surprising,
Yeah.
these don't extend.
Oh, I know.
So there are some of the Charlie Petty tests that this car fails, but the way it drives...
This is a Chris Petty test too.
Sure.
I always judge the visors.
The way it drives entirely makes up for that. Perfectly weighted steering, decent amount of road feedback for this type of vehicle. You just kind of have to pay the premium for it.
Yep.
I'll let you get behind the wheel and take us back.
Cool.
Big, meaty shifter.
Did we ever talk about power figures? I feel like we probably should on a Porsche.
We mentioned 375 horse at the
Yeah,
beginning.
383 foot-pounds of torque.
You feel that. You really do.
Yeah, 0 to
Raw
60,
power.
3.8 seconds.
I'll let you give us the launch control from behind the wheel.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we'll have to do that.
A thought I had while I was filming this, because I had many.
I'm sure you did.
Mazda should be trying to be the affordable Porsche.
Oh, instead of the affordable BMW.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because BMW and Porsche both got their luxury image by building excellent to drive cars. It's similar to if I were to go out and buy a fancy watch or some fancy clothing. I am not a clothing or watch enthusiast, so I'm just going to take somebody else's word for. I'm going to say, what's the best blank? What's the best watch? And I'll let you get the violent launch out of the way.
Yeah, no, it's easy. You just go Sport Plus, traction off, full brake. You get the green hold there. Full gas, launch control active. Here's 60 done. 75.
Wow, they're refilling Bronco Gel.
Are they?
It was just empty. Huh.
Anyways, sorry.
Yes.
Continue.
Also, launch control that holds the revs so high to dump the clutch. But anyway, I would go to someone, and if I just wanted the best watch or article of clothing or whatever, I'm just going to ask someone who knows what's the best. I might not actually be getting what I think I want. I'm just asking someone what the best is, and they're giving it to me. And that's how Porsche got an established name in the luxury sphere, is they were the best driving cars. They were not the best luxury cars.
Right.
You go getting a 911 from the 80s or something like that, it's not like a nice place to be necessarily the way a Mercedes was or something.
Sure.
It was the best driving car, and it still is. And now Porsche has realized, like, they built a name that was the best of something, and so they've built themselves into a luxury brand. But this still isn't as luxurious of a car as you could get from some of the other German or Japanese competition. So going back to Mazda should be trying to build a reputation on being the best car to drive.
Sure.
And then that would translate to sales by people saying, well, what's the best car to buy? And just like we say Mazda CX-5, it's because it's such a great car to drive.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I think every single review we've shot in this format, somehow the Mazda CX-5 has come up.
It's kind of surprising that hasn't been car of the year yet, but maybe when the new LCI or entirely new generation of Mazda CX-5.
I want this to be car of the year.
Oh wow, that is a Kawasaki ZX-14R. You can cut that out.
I'm not cutting that out. I'm leaving that in.
Great. I will say there's an electric Macan coming out.
That's right, yeah.
And
Macan EV.
that will probably be the best electric car to own because it'll be reasonably priced, relatively speaking. It'll be practical. It'll be nice to drive.
Yeah.
And it'll be efficient. And I mean, what more could you want?
Well, the guy whose Taycan we drove has a reservation for one. And he's going to trade his Taycan in on a Macan EV.
I think there will be a lot of people trading Taycans in because right now you buy a Taycan because it's the only electric.
It's the only electric Porsche, right?
Yeah. yeah, the whoever designed and put into place, maybe gave the green light to the Macan when it first came out, deserves all the money in the world, because
Right.
that
Yeah.
individual, he or she, effectively, I wouldn't say saved Porsche, I wouldn't be that dramatic,
Yeah.
but made Porsche much higher up than they would be.
Right. So here's how I want to wrap this up, and what I want to say, and I hope that you agree with me, is that not every Porsche, but almost every Porsche feels more like a Porsche than it does its sub-segment that it's in. So to me, this feels more like a Porsche than it does a compact SUV.
Yes.
The Taycan felt more like a Porsche than it did an EV.
Yes. And the Cayenne feels more like a Porsche than a larger SUV.
Sure, yeah. The Cayenne is kind of on the edge for me, but I will agree that it does still just barely pass that.
Right. Especially if you get an S. And you
Yeah.
get with
This car especially, though, like, I was going into this expecting it to just feel like an Audi Q5, and it just doesn't.
No.
It's its own unique thing. The steering, the throttle response, the noise it makes, the way that the PDK changes gears. It's just like, it's the Porsche experience, and it's like the perfect one-car solution in my
for
opinion.
someone who appreciates driving.
For someone who appreciates driving.
Right.
Sure.
And you have to recognize, if you've still made it to this far in the video, thank you, William.
Yep.
You have to recognize that our tendencies and our bias are always going to be toward a driver's car.
Right.
They're always going to be toward what makes us feel the best behind the wheel, because ultimately that's what you and I enjoy to do with our time, is spend it driving.
Right.
And if I got to spend my time driving this, I'd be happier than if I were to spend my time driving anything else in the segment.
Right.
That isn't to say that it's the perfect compact crossover for everyone. I think, and I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this, because both your mother and your significant other are in the market for compact crossovers. I would guess the NX is probably a better choice for your mother than a Macan.
Yes.
Much cheaper,
Mm-hmm.
arguably nicer materials.
Well, she's not a driving. She's not a driving
She's not a
enthusiast.
driving enthusiast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, you know, if you do care about driving, if you do like cars, and you have a family,
And it's not a big enough family that you need a Cayenne.
that's right. Macan S.
Well, now here's an interesting question for you, and I understand that we're not comparing back to back, so it might be hard to answer this. What about the Panamera?
I've never driven a Panamera.
I know.
Well, I've driven an old ass Panamera, but
Right,
not the new one.
But like, I guess just imagine.
Mm.
When should you get this over the Panamera?
I don't know, because I don't know. I haven't spent enough time in the Panamera to know how if
Yeah.
I really like the way it drives. That would be more of a you question to ask yourself.
I haven't spent a bunch of time in Panameras. I would imagine it's if you need the off-roading, or if you just need to save money, because I imagine the
What does
Panameras are
this
a good
do?
bit more expensive.
It stiffens the suspension?
And apparently raises the RPM.
Okay.
Maybe it makes sense that the suspension would be stiffer because you don't want to bottom out as easy.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Great. Well, would you
All
like
right.
to end your video outside or inside?
Let's end it outside so people can take a look at the Macan.
Show them the turning off and on, even though I'm sure you already have.
Yeah, Porsche likes to keep it traditional. Of course, if you're familiar with Porsche, the ignition key is always on the left-hand side, and while this is still a, keyless go, it has a little switch that you turn, which I really like. It's quite satisfying to operate.
Well, and that's so that when you're late to pick up your child from soccer practice and they're sitting there alone, you can get in, engage the seatbelt with your right hand, and start the car with your left.
That's fair. You'd probably save a couple seconds that
Right.
way.
You do know that's how Porsche's got that design, right?
Really?
It was from the Le Mans races when they used to start from outside of their cars, and they had to the race started and they got into their cars. Porsche put the key on the left so that the drivers could grab their seatbelt, put it on with the right, and then technically put the car in gear with their right and start it with their left, because you couldn't both put the car in gear and start with the same hand if it were
That's
on the right.
clever.
So that's why Porsches have it on the left.
Well, there you have it.
Mm-hmm.
Motorsport DNA still in
Still
the
in
modern lineup of Porsches.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Well, any last thoughts? Macan best car.
Yeah,
Macan
I'm gonna
car
miss
of the
it.
year.
It's very good. I was happy to spend the time in it that I did. I really want to drive the 4-cylinder too, so that I can know if that would still be as good to drive.
Yeah, and I want to drive the GTS also.
Yeah.
But this
we
may
want to drive
be-
more. How about a Turbo S too? Why not?
Yeah, no, they don't make that anymore.
They don't make
They-
the Turbo S?
Well, they never made a Turbo S, but
Just
they,
the Turbo?
yeah, they don't do the Turbo anymore because
The GTS already makes.
so the S took the powertrain out of the GTS, and the
Sure.
GTS took the powertrain out of the Turbo,
Yeah.
and the Turbo is now gone. And I
Inflation.
assume that the Turbo is going to be replaced by some crazy fast electric
Yeah.
variant of this thing.
Right.
So, let's just end it with a beige 90 driving by. That's always a good
That's
sign.
fate.
Yeah, that's fate. Well, thank you all so much for watching. It's been a great few days with the Porsche Macan S, and we look forward to driving more Porsches and having really good Porsche e-weeks, because it's always good, as you said, when we have a Porsche.
Yes.
So thank you all again so much for watching. We're Chris and Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always,
Porsche on.
Porsche on.